Hey everyone, it's me Nicole over at darngoodyarn.com, and I have been getting a lot of requests to do another new and improved arm knitting tutorial, and I showed you the basics in the last video, which is totally cool. And I don't like making my videos super formal. Like, yes, I'm sitting at my desk and you got the mess and all this, so I'm going to make this really easy for you. And just so you know, before we get started, I taught someone how to do this yesterday. They made a scarf within like 20 minutes and they don't even know how to knit or crochet or do anything like crafty like that. So you can so do this. All right, you ready? Pay no attention to all the cast on sort of ideas and notions you might have seen on YouTube and all this. I have the cheater's way on how to get started with your scarf. Now I'm just using like a random ball of ribbon I had in my office because I own a yarn company. When I do my really poofy scarves, I'll show you what they look like. See this like beautiful poofiness? This is made by holding 3 strands of my chiffon together at once, and then here you go, voila. This is how it makes it all poofy. But I'm just going to show you the basics in this video. And if you ever have questions, you just contact me. You can give me a call at my shop, visit us through the website darngoodyarn.com, email me, and I will show you the way. I can even hop on Skype with you if you really need to. Okay, so here you go. What you're going to do is, you know how to make a slip knot, right? I know you know how to. You just sort of loop it around and do a little slip knot. That's it. You've done it like 82 times in your life. I can guarantee that. That's going to be your basis for getting this scarf started. Some people call it casting on, but I don't want to use like super difficult terms that you're not used to. We're just going to say starting your scarf. So you're going to make this loop 5 more times on your arm. So I'm right-handed, so this I'm going to start with, and I'm going to turn so you can see. I'm going to make, I have my little tail here. Don't make your tail too big. No need to waste the yarn, sweeties. So you're just going to twist and pull your yarn that's coming from the ball. This is called your working yarn. Yeah. And you just make another slip knot on this working yarn. And you're going to put it on your wrist just like a bracelet. Now, you see this little bridge right here? See, this is a knot and this is a knot. You see this little whoop-de-doop? That's a very technical term, mind you. That should be like maybe 1-2 inches apart. Don't get carried away. Just don't make it like too long or too tight together. That's about where you want it. Okay, so we're going to do that a couple more times. Now, when I do my scarves, I do 6 of these. So I have 6 bracelets. I call these bracelets. 6 bracelets on my wrist. And you can see I'm just flipping it around and then grabbing the yarn through. Don't overthink it. I watch people do this and they're like, oh, just how would you do a slip knot if you only had one hand? That's how you would do this. So I'm going to point it to you. Look, you're just going to turn and then reach through, grab the yarn, and there you go. Please don't overthink it. I see a lot of people get stuck on that all the time. Just all you're doing is making a slip knot with one hand and one string, which is how you do a slip knot anyway. Okay, so let's, for the sake of this video, so it doesn't go into 33 minutes of me doing slip knots, we'll just call that 6, even though it's 4. So you need to learn 2 things from this point. So now you know how to do slip knots. Now you need to remember the Egyptian dance, like walk like an Egyptian back from the 80s, you know, this, right? And then you need to know how to take off a bracelet. Those are the 2 skills you need to learn how to do. So easy. Now with the Egyptian dance, our Egyptians always go like this. Look, like that. Yeah? So you'll see why I tell you that in a second. So how you get started. So I'm leaning back. Such a sexy little angle here you're getting. You're going to take, again, your working yarn. Don't worry about this tail. If you want, you can even cut this off so you don't get confused. Not all the way off, but you can cut it so maybe there's only an inch or so hanging. So there, look, I just cut it off so it doesn't confuse you. It's my little extra. Make a bracelet out of it or something. Grab this yarn now in your right hand, okay? And you're going to slide your bracelet off. Slidey, slidey, slidey. Okay? Now look, I made another bracelet right here. You're going to do your Egyptian dance. Forward, remember? Go forward. And I give it just a little bit of a tug. Don't make it really tight. Don't cut off your circulation. Just enough where it's not just flimsy and flippy flopping all over the place. From here, you're going to grab that yarn again. Okay? and you're going to slide the bracelet off the right. Now you got a new bracelet. See right here? And you do the Egyptian dance, go forward through that hole, and now it's on your wrist. And just give it a little bit of a tug. You don't want it too loose. Hold that working yarn, slide that bracelet off, do the Egyptian dance. Slide the bracelet off, do the Egyptian dance. Okay, look at that. Row 1 is done. Now it's going to look kind of funky. See here, all you want to do is pull from the bottom and just sort of arrange your stitches, because what can happen sometimes, they can ride up around and then you wind up picking up the wrong thing, and then you all of a sudden you go from 6 stitches to 10 stitches, and then your scarf looks all messed up. It's going to say something else, but I'm going to keep this rated PG for today. Notice the lack of wine glasses in my office. So okay, now to do your next row, how do I want to do this here? So you're going to just hold, just like you did on this hand, hold your yarn, take your bracelet off. Now you have a new bracelet right here. Do the Egyptian dance. Go straight through and give it a little bit of a tug so it doesn't go all flippy floppy. And hold your working yarn with your left hand. Slide your bracelet off. Do the Egyptian dance into the bracelet. Okay? And then you see, when I'm tightening it, I don't know if, well, you can see because we're on video here and we're in the year 2014. I'm just sort of keeping my fingers here and I'm just pulling it a little bit like that. So you can see it's not leaving that much of a gap. Maybe I can get like 3 fingers, 4, like right there. I'm not making so it's cutting off circulation. So again, you're holding your yarn on the wrist you're taking your bracelets off. That might be a way to think about it. So take your bracelet off, put your hand through the front, and then give it a little bit of a tug. Then take your bracelet off, go through this. So look at that. You've now done, and then straighten out all your stitches. So you always have 1, 2, 3, 4. Bracelets, stitches, same thing in my world at this point. So I'm going to do another row for you. So it's hold your working yarn, because remember this is where you have all the stitches on. So your working yarn is always going to be held in this hand when you're doing this. Take your bracelet off, do the Egyptian dance, pull a little bit tight, take your bracelet off, put your hand through, take your bracelet off, give a little tug, bracelet off, little tug. Now, here's the thing. Once you get going, so you'll be like, oh, Nicole, I do not want to tug on this yarn every single time. It wastes so much time. There's a little trick around it that I do, and it's just you're going to get more comfortable with it as you get used to the tension. If you don't do that little tug, it's going to look like fishing net, and it's not like the scarf doesn't get poofy. The way you know how that scarf, let me show you. See how like poofy and whipped this looks? It's like whew, there's all this volume to it. It's because I'm giving it that tug and giving it a little bit of an extra. If I didn't do that, it would just kind of flop open. And it's ugly. You don't want to do that. You don't want a floppy scarf like other things. So look, when you start working, my little shortcut is when I'm holding my working yarn, I turn it around here. I'm holding my working yarn. Oh, you can see all the notes on my hand. I'm a note handwriter. Okay, back to serious stuff. When you are holding the working yarn, instead of holding it out here, try to hold it as close to the base here. So when you're sliding it off, you're not really dealing with that much area. And then I'm slipping through and I'm trying to make it as tight as I can. Once you start doing that, you don't have to give it the tug, and you'll get a feeling for it. Of course, I rolled my chair onto my yarn because I'm really good at these tutorials. So there you go. So you're just gonna hold that working yarn close, and then pull, and then in, and it becomes a little bit of a quicker motion. So what I'll do here, I'm gonna just keep going, and maybe fast forward it. You can see how this sort of works up. I mean, try it on some really simple yarn. If you get confused, what I tell people is to use a variegated yarn for when you're first learning, because then you can see what's going on. Like when you have a solid color, you're like, okay, how does this look? This is sort of funky. But when you have a variegated yarn, it makes it a lot easier because you're like, oh, okay, the green goes into the blue loop, goes into the yellow loop. And it makes a little bit more sense, I think, visually. When I teach people how to knit, I always put them on a variegated yarn. I never use a solid yarn. So if you kind of have questions about this first, just go get like something inexpensive. You can get it at thrift stores, or you might just have some lying around in a stash. and you can work this. I'm telling you, people are like, oh, I'm not coordinated enough. Stop. You are coordinated enough. If you can take a bracelet off and put your hand through a hole, you can do this. Trust me. Look, I didn't want to do this for a long time because I thought the same thing as you, and now I'm totally addicted to it. Now everyone in my life is getting an arm knitted scarf for Christmas. Sorry, Mom, you just found out your Christmas present. So that's it, everyone. I hope this gets you on your way. If you have more questions, though, let me know. I'll make another video for you. I hope that sort of spells it out. But remember, start off with those slip knots for your cast on. Don't go doing the whole traditional cast on that you do in knitting, like woo. It's gonna confuse you. It confuses me. And I'm supposed to do this for a living or something. So that's it, everyone. I hope you have a great weekend or week or whenever you're watching this. And there we go. By the way, one last little tip. If you have a small little bladder like I do and you think you're not going to be able to finish the scarf and you're going to have it all stuck on your hands and you have to probably go up to use the little ladies' room or boys' room, depending who's watching this, keep something like the inside, the cardboard little roll thing for paper towels. What is that called? Someone help me. But keep that close by, or a wrapping paper tube. Keep that close by you, and you can slide your stitches on there. The only thing I tell you is just remember how you put it on so you can put it back onto your wrist so you can keep going. My friend Wendy taught me that. Thanks, Wendy. Otherwise, just knit really fast so that you don't even have to worry about it. And then for casting off, your cast off is just the same that you do in knitting. So let me just pick up 2 stitches here. You're going to work 2 stitches. Yeah. And then you're just going to carry this one closest to your shoulder over. And then you're left with 1 stitch. And you'll work that all the way across the roll. I just took it off so I'm not going to be able to pick up the stitches. When you get to the end, just snip off your working yarn. Give yourself a little bit of a tail like this. And pull it back through. And then pull it down. And it'll lock everything into place. And then you can weave this into your project. Super simple. That's it. So every single stitch, you're just going to always only have 2 for your last row. Pull the one that's closest to your shoulder over, so then you have 1. Then knit 1 more. And then pull the one that's closest to your shoulder over, and it's going to create a little braided effect, like when you used to make those pot holders when you were a kid. All right, everyone? Now I think we're good. Now I can let you go. Go forth and create, my dears. Bye.